Happy Friday. This is Joel, and I see who's here. Michael, the man who is going to give us an update. There he is. Adam to the stage. Wow. Now you're not Methuselah anymore. I think you're Samson now.
I'll take it. Ooh,
Yeah, that hair is getting pretty long.
that means I better not cut it.
Wow. Just saying. At least it's not in a ponytail. I'll give you credit.
I
No
was just
man
gonna
buns.
reach. Where's my rubber band? I gotta put it up. Hello, sir.
How are you doing?
Good. Good. Busy.
Busy. All right. Better than the alternative. Let's see. Carrie's here. Carrie's usually the first one here. Lucas Peter today. Morning, Lucas.
Piling in.
AC.
Piling in.
Yep. So, Chris.
Chris is
Morning,
on
Chris.
the stage.
All right. What's the word today? There, old wise sage.
What is this? So last Sunday was Palm Sunday. What's today? Good Friday?
Today is Good Friday. Yes.
Hello? Oh, look at Carrie. Carrie likes my hair.
Pretty. Certainly prettier than mine too. Chloe's here. Oh, got a good crowd today.
They're coming in. Hello, everyone. Hi, Joel. All right. So I told everybody over at Bible Every Morning that I wouldn't do any updating over there today because I'd be doing it over here and don't want to repeat myself. So let's see. Live chat and update with Michael and Joel. Updates. First, let's get updates from Joel. Ooh, bald is beautiful. Look at you.
Bald is beautiful. Yeah, to everyone who's not bald.
I'll tell my wife that.
Bald? Oh, I don't want to hear it, Michael. I don't want to hear it.
No, I'm looking at my wife looks at the.
That was me at 18. So I don't want to hear it.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Started.
Oh, yeah, it started early. Yeah.
There's my. I just keep this and spread it out, right?
All right. This is riveting broadcasting right here.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Are we live?
We are live. This thing on? Well.
Oh. Chloe's clarifying. She said she didn't like my hair. She wants my hair.
Oh, wow.
Anyway. All right. So how are you, Joel? What's going on?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. Thank you, Carrie. Apparently I wear it well. Thank you. Even though I hide it under a hat. So I'm doing good, Michael. Doing good.
I messed with my hair and now I'm not happy with how it looks. Anyway, I'll let it look. All right. Let's see. Where do I begin? What? Where did I leave off? I mean, I could start from any point. I am making my rounds in the Armenian community. My name is getting out there. Let me. So there's this competitor project. That's the way I refer to it. It's not really a competitor project because it's a movie and mine is a series, so it's not really a competitor. But the people making it have that posture, right? The people trying to make it. I get updates a little bit of some updates every now and then. So I know they've done some fundraising. I know they have a script that they've done a budget for. I know some of the people they've tried to attach. I don't know if, whenever you have attachments, there's always conditions. So some of them are by such and such a time. If you haven't progressed by such and such a time, my attachment expires, blah, blah, blah. So that's an ongoing process. That's been in process almost as long as I've been working on that competitor project. So somebody I know knows them not super well, but has been working in a capacity where they overlap with a couple of the people on that. So it's, small world in the Armenian community if you're in a certain status. And so she reported back to me that 'cause she has my book, the Assassin Saint book, and they saw it in her purse, and they were like, "So this guy got to you too, huh?" And she's actually a part of my team and helping me immensely on the project. So that happened. This guy got to you too, huh? And then the other guy was like, "Everybody tells me I'm supposed to meet this guy. I don't know, why do I have to meet this guy?" These are a couple of Armenian producers, and so I love that, God kind of gave me that gift that somebody closely aligned with me was in their circle or in their presence and was able to report back, because they saw the book, they made that comment, but they didn't press her on her relationship with me or anything. They just went on and talked to each other, blah blah blah. So I was had a big smile on my face, because that same night, I found that story out later, but that same night was a concert that I went to of an Armenian musician who is famous for the band System of a Down. So the bass player for System of a Down has his own side project, and he had a gig, and I went to it, and it was a bunch of, I felt right at home there. I wore my all black, and it was loud music, and I was able to, bang my head and show off my hair a little bit. So, but there were also, some influential Armenians in attendance, and I ran into both of those guys at the concert that night, the same night that they had that little discussion. Why do I need to meet this guy? And I knew one of them. I knew one of them personally, but it's the other guy that said that I have never met. And so it was after the show and they were coming out, and I see the guy that I know behind the other guy. And when I see the other guy, I look at him. I've seen pictures of him, so I'm like, this guy looks familiar to me. And as soon as he saw me, recognition and kind of deer in the headlights kind of came across his face. And as soon as I saw that reaction, I knew it was the guy. But it wasn't, he was leaving. So it wasn't like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." But the guy that was behind him, his friend, I knew him. So I greeted him. I was like, "Oh, hey." So that's just an example of, my presence in those circles, in that community, is known and not going away. So then about, I think it was only 3 or 4 days after that, there was an art exhibit in Sierra Madre, and it was all Armenian artists. And 3 different people told me, "You should go attend this. You should go to this art exhibit. There's going to be people there." And I knew 2 of the artists. I know 2 of the artists personally were exhibiting their art, and so yeah, I'll go. It turned out to be kind of a who's who of the Armenian intelligentsia, a certain strata of the Armenian community, and several of my team members showed up, and a new team member from out of town came, and turns out she knows one of my other team members that they didn't know that they were both involved. So it was just, plus my hater was there. You're aware?
Oh yeah, I've met him. I know him.
You have actually. You've seen my hater try to pull his stuff, but him. Well, he was there. He had a new book that he's handing out, autographing, trying to give it to influential people, and so it was funny. He was there, and I didn't come face to face with him. I kind of intentionally, well, it worked out where I didn't have to come face to face with him. But I was meeting these other people. Like I met this one congressman. I don't remember his name. I met this other woman who's is in charge or involved with something. I can't track everybody, but I was meeting these different people, being introduced to these different people. And then when I come back to my team, when they're hanging out in their area, I go, "My hater's here," and Christine, she goes, "Yeah, well, you were just talking to 2 of mine." So she's, an influential figure in the community and running political campaigns and stuff. And it's funny because one of the people, the Congress guy that I talked to, I'm just me talking about what's going on, filling him in, and then I'll ask, "Oh, do you know Christine? I'll say her full name. And the guy didn't react at all, didn't respond at all, but acted kind of like he didn't know who I was talking about. And I explained to him like, oh, she's this. And I'm like, oh, well, never mind. And then I just kept talking. So he played dumb. And then when I went to her and I told her, I said your name, he didn't react at all. He acted like he didn't know you. So I'm learning kind of what the relationships are in the community in that regard. And when the event was over, even though it was an art exhibit for these other artists, we came out of there. My team, this one new team member, she's very influential and she's helping immensely. She goes, that event felt like our event because we like the people from my team were like all over the place. No, it was like God has, what's the proverb? A man's gift will bring him before kings. I'm kind of butchering it, but God, if you have something that other people value, that's the thing that God uses. And so the story of Solomon Talerian is this valuable treasure that has brought me into that realm, and I'm enjoying it. So enough of the social stuff. You want to know what's going on with the business side, I'm sure.
Sure. Well, I mean, in Hollywood, the social side is the business side a lot of times, right?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, if your name is circulating and then somebody with money meets you or hears, right, it bodes well. All right, so we've been working on the paperwork, the business side, getting a document that a person will be comfortable signing that will lead to the bank account, like the checks clearing in the bank account. Because I've over this process, especially in the past year, I've met a lot more people that claim or that have means. And so it's that threshold, that transition of having a document that I'm comfortable with, that my lawyer says is okay, that that people with money will sign. And we're right at that threshold. Christine's got it pretty much drafted, and we've been bouncing it off of one of the teams, one of the potential investor groups. There's a kind of a point person from that group that's been working with us to tell us, they'll read it and they're familiar with these kind of agreements, and they'll ask questions and they'll make suggestions. So the last time we met with that person, less than a week ago, or about a week ago, he's like, well, this looks great. Now you need to set up a meeting to invite people like him, right? Not just him, people like him, people with money, people connected. So that was his next step. So we're in that process. And that's quite a, that's one where you don't just set a date on the calendar. You kind of feel out the interest, the people who you already know who have interest, maybe a few influential people, and try and find out their schedules and plan it at a time when some of the key players will be available. So that's the process. That's the stage of the process we're in right now, setting a date for that meeting. And I even in the meeting with that guy, I'm like, and you'll bring people too. I was like, yeah, of course. We also have another team member that has come along that understands the business side. He's run a couple startups, and he's also I guess, a crypto, that sphere as well. But he has there's certain types that when I meet them, they get really excited and motivated and incentivized. And I won't know that. I'll just talk to them and I'll share with what I'm going through, and we'll exchange contact information. And then they go and process it. So this guy called me out of the blue about a week or so after I had met him. And he's like, I'm going to help you get the money you need. I think I have a A-list. I have an A-list talent that I can introduce you to. And if you have room for him in the process, I think that'll attract money. So I'm not going to name drop anything obviously right now, but this is a guy that he mentioned to me that has been on my radar for a little over a year. People saying, you should talk to this guy, you should talk to that guy. I'm like, yeah, I should. Introduce me to him. You know,
Right.
it's one thing for people to say, you should. I'm like, oh, okay, introduce me to him. Right. It's like, it's not up to me to go find the guy. Well, this is one of the guys.
Have you told
And
me who this guy is?
I don't know I don't think I've told you who he is.
Okay.
I can when we're done here.
No, I know, but
But I totally have a role that I think he would be perfect for. And he also has done a little bit of directing and is interested in that. And so there's 40 episodes. And so I think that would work. So there are things that besides his Armenian heritage, other things that would attract him to the project. So he knows of the project. He's expressed interest. And I sent an official letter to him about 3 or 4 days ago, 4 or 5 days ago. So that is another development that just happened in the past 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Also last Thursday, so a week ago yesterday, I had so the church I've been going to, UACC, United Armenian Congregational Church. It's like God planted that church just for me to be there at this time. It's like, it's the first Armenian church that I've gone to that it worships the way I worship, right? The Armenian Apostolic Church is the ancient, Eastern Orthodox tradition with liturgy and standing and sitting, and closer to the Catholic experience, whereas this is an evangelical church. So I walk in there and they even sing some of the songs that I've sung, when I was a young Christian. So very familiar. My family go and it's where I've joined the choir, and I've become a bit of a celebrity in that church. Chloe, no, not Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is on the radar. I have actually 2 people going after Mel Gibson right now. One of the potential investors, and then another person.
That's who I was asking about. I didn't know his name was out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mel Gibson, yes. This is not that person, but that is one of the other things happening. We're on the hunt to get properly. You can't just have anybody. It has to be the proper introduction. But so this church, started going there in November and just fit right in, and because I'm singing in the choir, and so I'm up front and people know me, and my voice does stand out, and people think I have a good voice, and I'm a good singer. So I've got that exposure there at the church. Well, they have a monthly men's group once a month on the third Thursday or the second Thursday. So that was a week from yesterday. So the second Thursday of the month is the men. They have a guest speaker at their men's group, and so I was featured, and it was their biggest turnout. It was quite a draw. Normally they have like 30 or 40. They had about 55. So the room was packed, and it's a meal, right? So the room was packed, and it was a sit down meal. And then I brought some of the archive. So I shared my story, some of the details about Soghomon, and we did a brief Q&A, and then I showed and described some of the pieces in the archival exhibit, like Soghomon's ashtray and some famous pictures that people know, the original copies of them, etc. So that was also a very seminal moment in this journey. Wow. Clock is ticking, so I'm not going to keep going in different directions. But this meeting was all of the guys there from the church or are related to people from the church. So it's like an exclusive group, and it's men only. And a couple of guys in the group, one of the guys that was there has become a friend of mine. He's one of the first people I met attending the church. When I was telling him about the plans, months ago, we're pursuing Mel Gibson. There's this one particular investor group that I've been talking to. And I was just telling him that on a Sunday morning, right after church, was just updating him. And out of the blue, he goes, I'll invest. Or he says that when he hears, what I'm doing and who I'm pursuing, he's like, I'll invest. And I knew he was a pillar in the community. I knew he was, kind of a fixture at the church, but apparently, it's old family money, deep pockets. I mean, he has a really good career and his brothers, etc. And so, in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe this is a guy who'd be interested. And he said that back then, but he showed up for the event on Thursday, and that's the first time he's heard an in-depth, explanation of what I'm doing, what I've been doing, what's on the horizon. And so the following Sunday, he sat next to me in church, and he's on board. So that's a good, a very, 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 because that's a guy who's a friend. It's not just I'm pursuing people, influential people or rich Armenians or whatever. It's
Right.
not just that. This is a guy that I've made friends with, and so it feels like kind of a protector, right? That's a kind of guy who genuinely has my best interest, because he's a pillar in this church. He's
Right.
happy that I'm at the church. And then, so after the Thursday event, the next Sunday morning, when he was saying this, but earlier in that service, it was like, for example, I went into the church before the service, and there was a friend of mine from the choir, a lady friend of mine, and she goes, "So how did Thursday night go?" And I think it went well. And she goes, "You're very, very popular around here." And that was before church, and like, so my name has gotten through the grapevine, and she's a lady that wasn't even allowed there, but she said that you're very, very. And then out in the lobby before church, I ran into this elderly woman that's been a friend of mine. I embarrassed. I can't remember. Oh, I think I do remember her name. I'm not going to say her name. She comes up to me, very, very distinguished, well dressed, and she goes, "I heard good things about you. I'm going to do a piece on you." And I'm like, "Okay, great." I got emotional and worshipful in that moment. I do a piece. I guess she's a journalist or a muckety muck of some sort. And then I just had different people coming up to me at church, guys that were there, and it was like this different. By having that event, I was no longer just a guy that shows up at church on Sunday, with the guy with the long hair over there. Oh, he sings in the choir. Now it's like the heart and soul of that community are aware of what I'm doing, and they're very happy, and they're very, very happy. And so those are, things that people on the outside don't know that's going on, but these are very, very significant progressions. Like, this church is now an absolute covering for me, and it's exciting, and it also feels like it's ramping up very quickly. One of the new team members, she's a public intellectual, that's also known, and she's like, "Oh, I can get you to Harvard. I can get you to Berkeley. I can get you into Stanford. I can get you into USC, UCLA. I can get you into every academic institution, because you are legit. You are the curate of this historic story," right? She's read the memoir, and her goal is to get that memoir prepped for publishing. Like that, like, it's not something I can do. It has to be somebody that knows that field, and that's her expertise. So that's a team member that just came. She's gone through the memoir and the prison diary, and she knows all the other pieces that are involved, all the contracts that I've signed, and the translator's agreement, and like stuff that she needs to know before she can move forward. So that's a very important member that's come to the team. Also, my calendar kind of filled up in April. I did have that event speaking at the men's group, and then on the 22nd, and I'll send you this flyer. It's a closed. It's not closed. It's a limited seating event, but I think there are seats, and I don't know if you want to come up for it, but you're invited. I'll send it to you. I'm speaking. I've been invited. Now my team is like, no more doing events on your own. No more setting up events on your own. You are now going to be invited to things, so that you don't have to do all the legwork before. So lo and behold, I was invited by a guy to be, the featured speaker at his art gallery. So he's on April 22nd. It's a Tuesday night, at 6 p.m. in Glendale, and I'll send you the details. It's 50 people only. I'm going to be, so we're working on that. And then on April 24th, there's another connection that I've made. This woman who is kind of an influencer, not necessarily social media influencer, but she's, I mean, she is on social media, but she has a bit of a following from her activism and I believe she's very conservative. I don't know that she's religiously conservative, but she's absolutely politically conservative. And so she has invited me to essentially tag along with her to a bunch of the festivities, because April 24th is the big day for Armenians. That's the day annually that they commemorate the genocide. That was a significant moment in the Armenian genocide. So she is known in the Armenian biker gang and teenage car club community. You know, the young Armenian kids that have the hot rods that like to get together. So those are that she is a figure in those two communities. And so I'm going to be tagging along with her all morning at this one location. And then they ride to the next location, and then they ride to the next location. So my April 24th, I'm going to be in the mix with a bunch of the young Armenians. And then that night, I'm going to be going to Fresno. And this is something that I'm doing because I need to get up there, because that's kind of Mecca. Soghomon Tehlirian is buried there, and there's this huge Armenian community there. Well, this same woman, she has an uncle and an aunt that are kind of fixtures in Fresno, and they've offered to let me stay with them. And so having a community in Fresno, that's another thing that I knew was going to happen. It's like, I know a few people there, but to have a place to stay, that's different. That's a different level of belonging and networking. So that's happening. And then two more things before our time is up. Also on the calendar, I have been selected to be the keynote speaker at a high school. There's a private Armenian high school. Well, it's a school from kindergarten to high school, total of 900 students and a 450 student waiting list. So it's in Hollywood, right? It's the cream of the crop of Armenians, and it's also the school that they all know the name Soghomon Tehlirian. It's the one school on the planet outside of Armenia. It's the school associated with the political party that Soghomon Tehlirian, that Operation Nemesis was, right? It's basically an ARF school, high school, but it's also affiliated with the Apostolic Church, the prelacy side. So I sat with like 15 or 16 of the teachers from the school one day and brought some of the archival stuff, and they were just in awe. One of the guys goes, I always dreamed that a Soghomon Tehlirian expert would come here. You're an answer to prayer. This is what they were saying to me. So they invited me to be the keynote speaker at their annual, it's called High Tide. It's the kind of the end of April big event where it's not just their high school students, but two other Armenian high schools in LA send their students there as well. So I'm going to be speaking for 400 Armenian high school students about their hero, Soghomon Tehlirian, on April 29th. And then the final thing on the calendar for now is the band's back together. My band, we have a gig. We're going to be playing in Pasadena on Friday, May 2nd at 8 p.m. Old Town Pub, be there. So, and I've recruited, because my bass player moved to Philly and my drummer is the drummer for Los Lobos right now, so he's on tour. So I had to recruit two other musicians. So I got a bass, both Armenian, right? I got an Armenian, a jazz bassist who also plays rock, and then I have the drummer, one of the musicians from the church will play drums. So we're gonna have an Armenian contingent there, and we're gonna call it Gavlakian, right?
Yeah.
So there's the update, and there's more, but I can just cram it in.
Yeah. All right. So,
You asked for it.
I did, and I got it. Carrie's asking, are you riding a motorcycle?
I don't ride a motorcycle. I'll be in somebody's vehicle.
Hey,
I'm
with
not
that,
gonna-
you
I'm
can,
not gonna ride.
you said that lady's high up, or something about Armenian motorcycle gangs. You
She
could
rides a
fit right in.
Harley. She rides
Yeah.
a Harley. Yeah.
You kind of got the old Hell's Angel
Well,
look going there.
I'll certainly fit in, but I don't know.
Yeah, on a bike, I could see it.
Okay, maybe I'll consider it. Maybe we'll see. I'll be in my blacks. I'll be wearing all black, obviously. All right. Time's up.
Time is up. Thanks for the update.
You're welcome.
Thanks everyone for
Bye, everybody.
checking in. Bye.